Powerful quotes by 10 Black women who changed history. In 1822, Harriet Tubman was born into slavery. Since then, the United States has undergone a long and difficult shift in civil rights and opportunities available to Black women. Here we are, 200 years after Tubman's birth, and progress continues to be made thanks to the countless inspirational Black women who have fought for equality as activists and politicians, empowering generations through their writing, music, and art. To learn more about 10 Black women who changed history, make sure to watch this video all the way through. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for the latest from Red Button Journal. And now for the journal. Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroad conductor.
I was the conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years. And I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger.
Harriet Tubman was born in the state of Maryland, USA. She escaped slavery in 1849 and became a famous abolitionist and civil rights activist. She is best remembered for her efforts to help others escape slavery via the Underground Railroad. She was also known as Moses because she seemed to have been sent by God to lead her people out of bondage. While Tubman herself made over a dozen dangerous trips into the South, the Underground Railroad led hundreds of slaves to freedom. Rosa Parks, mother of the Civil Rights Movement.
People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. I was not tired physically. No, the only tired I was tired of giving it.
Rosa Parks is an iconic figure in the civil rights movement. She is also one of the most influential women of her time. Her refusal to give up her bus seat to a white man in Montgomery, Alabama, sparked the Montgomery bus boycott and set in motion a series of protests that led to the end of segregation on public transportation across America. Parks was born Rosa Louise Macaulay on February 4, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama. Her parents were both teachers and members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, who encouraged their daughter to become involved with community activism at an early age. In 1932, she married Raymond Parks, who became her lifelong partner in both political activism and love. Bessie Coleman, pilot.
The air is the only place free from prejudice.
Bessie Coleman was the first Black woman to hold a pilot's license. She was born on January 26, 1892, in Atlanta, Texas. She was the 10th of 13 children, and her father, George Coleman, was a former slave who had worked his way up to become a successful businessman. Coleman's family didn't have much money, so she couldn't afford to go to school and had to work as a laundress when she was just 8 years old. Coleman wanted more than anything else in the world to fly an airplane, and at age 16 she saved enough money from her laundry business to buy her first plane ticket. She took flight lessons in France from World War I veteran, Captain Walter Bullock, and earned her international pilot's license on June 15, 1921. Coleman went on to become a popular air show pilot, carrying out daring barnstorming stunts. Queen Bess, as she was known, would only perform if the audience was desegregated, and all spectators were allowed to enter through the same gates. Ella Fitzgerald, singer.
I guess what everyone wants more than anything else is to be loved. And to know that you loved me for my singing is too much for me. Forgive me if I don't have all the words. Maybe I can sing it, and you'll understand.
Ella Fitzgerald was a jazz singer who had a long and successful career. She was one of the most popular singers of the 20th century, performing with the likes of Duke Ellington and Count Basie. Fitzgerald's voice is best known for her scatting abilities, which she used to vocalize lyrics that she could not remember. Her scatting helped transform her into a jazz legend. Ella Fitzgerald was born on April 25, 1917, in Newport News, Virginia. She began singing in her church choir at an early age before joining a local band called the Songsters. In 1935, she joined Chick Webb's big band as a featured singer and became his female counterpart alongside Ella Mae Morse as they toured together all over the world. Over her illustrious life, the Queen of Jazz garnered 14 Grammy Awards and was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Shirley Chisholm, politician.
If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair.
Shirley Anita St. Hill was born to immigrant parents on November 30, 1924, in Brooklyn, New York. She was of Guyanese and Bajan descent. She married Conrad Chisholm, an immigrant from Jamaica, in 1949. In 1968, Shirley Chisholm was the first Black woman to be elected to Congress. She went on to serve 7 terms from 1969 to 1983. In 1972, she became the first Black candidate to ever make a bid for a major party's presidential nomination. That was the first time for a woman to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. During her time in Congress, Chisholm worked tirelessly on behalf of women and children and fought tenaciously against racism and sexism. Katherine Johnson, mathematician.
We were pioneers of the space era. Everything was so new. The whole idea of going into space was new and daring. There were no textbooks, so we had to write them.
Katherine Johnson was the first Black woman to work as a NASA mathematician. She was one of the human computers who helped America win the space race by calculating flight trajectories for astronauts. Katherine Johnson is a great example of how powerful words can shape history. Her story has been told in many books and documentaries, but her most famous achievement is being portrayed in the movie Hidden Figures, which tells her story and that of other Black women who contributed to NASA's success. Despite the racial and gender barriers she faced, her sheer talent and ceaseless enthusiasm made her indispensable. Audrey Lord, poet.
It is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences.
Audrey Lord was born in 1934 to Caribbean immigrants in New York City. As a child, Lord struggled with communication and came to appreciate the power of poetry as a form of expression. In fact, she describes herself as thinking in poetry. A writer, civil rights activist, and feminist, Lord is famous for the emotion she conveyed in her writing. Her works convey a lot of outrage and anger towards civil and social injustices that she observed throughout her life. She often explored complex political and social issues through her poetry. Octavia Butler, novelist.
When I began writing science fiction, when I began reading, heck, I wasn't in any of this stuff I read. The only Black people you found were occasional characters, or characters who were so feeble-witted that they couldn't manage anything anyway. I wrote myself in, since I'm me and I'm here and I'm writing.
Octavia Butler is an American writer and a part of the Afrofuturism movement. She was born in 1947 in Pasadena, California. She has written many science fiction novels and short stories. Her novel, Kindred, won the Hugo Award for Best Novel in 1979, and her novel, Dawn, won the Nebula Award for Best Novel in 1987. Her work paved the way for Black women writers in the traditionally white male-dominated genre of science fiction. Octavia Butler is a powerful woman who shaped history with her words and thoughts. Mae Jemison, astronaut.
Once I got into space, I was feeling very comfortable in the universe. I felt like I had a right to be anywhere in this universe, that I belonged here, as much as any speck of stardust, any comet, any planet.
Mae Jemison is an American astronaut, medical doctor, and engineer. Jemison was born in Decatur, Alabama on October 17, 1956. Jemison knew from a young age that she wanted to study science and someday go into space. Seeing Star Trek and, in particular, Black actress Nichelle Nichols' portrayal of Lieutenant Uhura further stoked her interest in space. She would go on to study chemical engineering at Stanford University and become a physician at Cornell University Medical College before she applied to NASA's astronaut program the first time in 1985, but wasn't selected until she applied again in 1987. In 1992, she became the first Black woman to travel into space. Jemison served as a mission specialist aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour, orbiting Earth 127 times during her 8-day mission. Oprah Winfrey, talk show host.
It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. The ability to triumph begins with you. Always.
Oprah Winfrey was born into poverty on January 29, 1954 in rural Mississippi to a single teenage mother. She was molested during her childhood and early teenage years and became pregnant at 14. Her son was born prematurely and died in infancy. Winfrey was then sent to live with her father, a barber in Nashville, Tennessee, where she landed her first job in broadcasting at WVOL Radio while still in high school. Oprah Winfrey has become one of the most influential people in the world. She has been a part of the American culture for decades, and she is still going strong. She has been an inspiration to many people, especially Black women who are trying to make their way in this world. Oprah's words have helped them through some tough times and have given them hope for a better future. Her words are powerful and can motivate anyone who listens to them. Perhaps you've been encouraged or motivated by these powerful quotes or by another. We would love to have you share a comment about your experience. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for the latest from Red Button Journal.